And now to the nominations for the PFA Vertu Motors Player of the Year, and what a shortlist we've got. We've got Beth Mead from Arsenal, Vivian Miedema, Sam Kerr, Alex Greenwood, Alicia Russo, and there she is, Ella Toone. And of course, we've got an unbelievable panel today to talk through the nominations. We've got Georgia Goulding from Give Me Sport. Georgia, give us a wave. We've got Sophie and Rachel from Girls on the Ball, someone who needs no introduction. We've got Karen Carney. We've got Jamie Spencer, Ellen Ellard, and of course, my co-presenter, Kenzie Benali. How's everyone doing?
Good, thank you.
Good. Now, the WSL's last, but by no means least. And I think we saw with the final day of the season what an exciting season it's been, and the title race, Arsenal and Chelsea, going down to the last game. Karen, good place to start with you. Do you think those two teams will be in the title race this time next year?
You know what, next year I went early on Sky the other day. I went Manchester City for next season. But look, talking about this season, it was unbelievable. We all said, we all thought it would go down to the final game, and it did. And then when I was at Kings Meadow at Chelsea's ground, when Manchester United went up, and I was thinking, we're going to have to get on the M25 quick, go down to West Ham to Arsenal. But, then Chelsea have got that resilience, they've got that grit, the experience, the culture, and they came through. But you have to credit Arsenal for taking it to the final game of the season. I do think if City hadn't had the injuries that they had, we'd have a 3-horse title race. And, that's something for them they'll have to look into. They can't have that amount of injuries in a short season that we do, that you'll get punished for it. But it was quality, and I think how now women's football is broadcasted, people are starting to see it, and it was thoroughly entertaining, and it was a great final day.
Ellen, that's good news for you. Do you see City in the title race this time next year?
Absolutely. I think this season has been one of a lot of learning. It was so hard being there at the start of the season and watching everything happen, but they turned it around, and boy, did they turn it around. And that's why we see Alex Greenwood up there. She was absolutely pivotal in that, a huge leader. She was incredible. And I think you look at the run they're on now, and to where they got to, where they ended up at the end of the season. Would we have been celebrating the third place, that Champions League spot, as much as City were at the start of the season, when maybe even pre-season, let's say? Probably we couldn't have imagined that, but we are, and it's great. And I can see them up there. I think it's been a bit of a forced transitional season, and there's lots of rumours going around with what's going to come in and who's going to come in summer, and the changes. And I think they've got that structure now. They know how to react to stuff like this. If this happens at the start of next season, we hope it doesn't. If a similar thing happens, you'll see them. They won't drop their heads. They'll be there we can get through this. So yeah, I can definitely see them up there.
I want to know the rumours. I do.
Drop some gems.
Let's hear some rumours. There we are.
I'm gonna stay zipped. But I think it's one of those things where it's I think it will come down. I think it'll be a 3-horse race again. But you've got to look back, and you look at Spurs coming through as well. I think there'll be a bit of a mix for that Champions League places as well. I wouldn't say they're going to sort of charge out and go all the way to the end, because we saw with Chelsea and Arsenal, it wasn't like that in their season either. It wasn't completely dominant. There's ups and downs, but I think they'll be up there definitely.
So those three teams are probably the obvious choice. Man United's been such an interesting project, and the development's been so quick. Can you see United breaking into that top 3?
I think at first everybody thought, it's funny because everybody thought, myself included, Everton would be up there challenging for the Champions League. And the WSL is the same as the Premier League. Everything changes. Shocks happen, and I think Man United have been ever constant up there challenging ever since they got promoted. And they just missed out ever so fractionally. And I just think that the way that they're going, if they keep going, it's only going to be up from there. They fought their Manchester rivals toe to toe. It's only going to be more exciting in the season coming, surely.
Well, Ellen, let's talk more about Alex Greenwood. You are the stadium announcer for all the home matches for Manchester City women, which is amazing. You must have certainly enjoyed watching her performances. 5 goals, 4 assists from defence. She's an outstanding player. What do you make of her?
Yeah, she's incredible. She's been such a leader. She has stepped up so well. I was thinking, we struggled in defence, and we struggled with goalkeepers. And I remember seeing Kiara Keating come in. I remember her first game. She was only 17. And Alex was there, going back, talking to her, talking her through the game, making sure she was there and comfortable. And it's that kind of leadership that you need. She has really sort of brought the team together, made sure, like I said, that their heads aren't dropping. Everyone is there. They want to play and they're happy. And that turnaround, I think she has been absolute centre of. Obviously, loads of people and loads of players have they've had to buy into that as well. But she has just been incredible. And she's been a joy to watch. She's been a joy to talk to. She is just so positive, that the leadership is there, the skills, and of course she's a great defender. She was there through and through. Like I said, when we were struggling with defence, she showed up to every game and got the job done.
Yeah, she's just been so key, hasn't she, to City's campaign. I can tell you're itching to get involved and talk about her. She's sensational, isn't she? And she's played in every single game as well. I think that's worth noting.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing about Alex as well is, maybe 18 months ago, this wasn't her position. 2 years ago, this wasn't her position. She was a left back. She's become one of the most undroppable players, I think.
For sure. And Kaz, I think one of her standout attributes, she's so technically gifted, and sometimes that goes under the radar.
I think as well, what you got to remember is with all the injuries that City had, they didn't probably have, whenever Manchester City play, they play out from the back. And because Alex was the only left-sided player, and also you're playing next to players that aren't naturally in the positions next to her, there was so much reliance of her technically to play out from the back for City, and people were setting traps on her. She's still solving problems, and she just took responsibility. And I think, you're right, she hasn't played in that position, but she's kind of played in the back three before, and then she's evolved in there. So I think the evolution of her playing there was always coming. But for me, what I've enjoyed about Alex is she's grown and she's matured. And I think that's really shown this season, and really taken accountability when they've needed her to. And that's a sign of a top player stepping up, and she definitely has.
Now, on the other side of the pitch, at the other end, we've got two of the best forwards in world football in Sam Kerr and Miedema. Sam Kerr's got it this year, but do you think it's going to be those two battling it out for the Golden Boot next year?
Probably. There might be a few more challenging them, but they've definitely been at the top. I mean, we've seen Miedema drop a little bit deeper this season, which is probably why she hasn't got quite so many goals. She has said that it's always been more of her natural position to play in that number 10 role. She said she's a 9.5, so I think we've seen that this season with the introduction of Blackstenius. But for me, Sam Kerr has been unbelievable this season, and it's not just about the amount of goals she scored, but when she scored them. You look at that 92nd minute winner against Aston Villa. When I was at that game, I was sure that it was going to be a draw. They couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, and then Sam Kerr popped up. She did the same against Spurs, and they were down to 10. And those two goals in the last game of the season against Manchester United, both of them I thought were goal of the season. And first one I thought was goal of the season, and then she comes up and does what she does with the second goal. So yeah, the two of them have been unbelievable. I just feel very privileged to get to watch them week in, week out in this league. And if rumours are true, hopefully Miedema is staying for another year. We'll be very lucky to have her challenging Sam Kerr again for the Golden Boot, I reckon.
And Jamie, how important is it that the WSL has those two players in the league? Because the quality is so strong, but to have those two who are just a joy to watch, Miedema clinical, Sam Kerr exciting, electric, how important are they to the league?
I think it's important as a global marketing thing to make sure that the WSL stands out as a world leader in the women's game. The competition between those two will only increase that as well. If they're going for the Golden Boot head-to-head year after year, it's going to put more eyes on the league, it's going to have more intrigue, and it's so important to keep them both.
It's been so thrilling, hasn't it, this WSL season? It feels like it's kind of had it all. And I mean, I've particularly loved seeing teams lower down the table grabbing points from the big three. I mean, that Birmingham City victory over Arsenal is one that will live long in the memory for me. And of course, it's been a great title race as well. I mean, Kaz, do you think this has been the most competitive WSL season to date?
You know what? I'm going to say no. But what I am going to say is it's been... People feel like it is because it's in people's faces. So it's been broadcasted the right way. It's for people to see, whereas we've had really exciting time. We've had 3 teams in the final day before, but nobody knew about it in a women's game. The difference is now it's on the papers, it's in the radio, it's on the TV, it's in people's mindset, social media. The goals, you've seen them the next day, everyone's talking about it. We've never had that previously. So that's a credit to everyone getting involved. And the quality and the standard of football is second to none. It's improving year in and year out. And I think that the title will be equally as exciting next year. But the big difference for me is it's out there, and we've never had that.
I think that's such a great point, actually, isn't it? Because we know what it's all about, but actually now the rest of the world is seeing that as well. I mean, for you guys covering the beautiful game, obviously, I'm sure you enjoyed the campaign as well, but how pleasing is it to see the sport growing so rapidly?
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think what I loved about this season is that in the final week, you didn't know who was going to get relegated. You didn't know who was going to get that third Champions League spot. And you didn't know who was going to win the title. And that's really exciting. It's not only about the teams at the top, but what's going on further down the league. And that made for a really, really exciting campaign. I remember that one where it was 3 teams who could potentially win the titles. There have been plenty of exciting FAWSL seasons. And it's great to see now that more people get to enjoy that with us. And we're seeing the impact of what that can do. You know, we see 90,000 over in Barcelona, and you know it inspires people, and hopefully it inspires people over here to see bigger crowds. So yeah, it's definitely an exciting season, and I think one of my most enjoyable in the last kind of 9-10 years. It's been incredible.
Now, Miedema arguably gets on any list for as long as she stays in the WSL, but someone who's had probably one of their best seasons, Beth Mead, a goal in every game. Just how impressive has she been this season?
She's been incredible, and I think she really picked herself up from the disappointment of last summer not going to the Olympics with Team GB. And I think that she used that to motivate herself for this year. And I mean, boy, has she come back. She's been on absolute fire, and she would be my second player of the year, I think, because, yeah, just the form in front of goal. But also Arsenal are just a completely different beast when she's in that team. She just adds so much energy and injects so much pace down the flanks that, she's just unbelievable.
Kaz, what would you say she's added to her game? Obviously, bouncing back from a negative situation and not getting selected. Do you think she's added a lot to her game this year to be delivering those numbers week in, week out?
I agree, it definitely hurt her, and I know that, not getting selected. Just goals. You know, as a forward or an attacking player, every game, someone told me, judge yourself on, you have to make a goal or score a goal. And she's done that. She's broken my record of assists. Fair play to her. But she's quality. That's what you judge. When a manager wants to go and pick their side, if you've got a goal and assist in the last game, you're undroppable. And she keeps delivering that. And you know she's got to find a rhythm with Stina Blackstenius and with Viv Miedema. It kind of dropped off a little bit when they changed that. They've got to rebuild that chemistry again between the front line. But she's a great player. I think in the World Cup in 2019, she was our biggest assister. She's had a great season, so I think it'll be a great one for her going into the Euros as well.
Jamie, let's have a word on Manchester United then, shall we? 2 players nominated for them, which speaks volumes, really, doesn't it? Finished 4th this season. Do you think they can go any better next season?
I mean, it's easy to say that United are like the extra person in the party, really, because of the big 3. They had difficult circumstances last summer with the way that the full manager left. The delay in Mark Skinner arriving was towards the end of July. They didn't have a lot of time to prepare. But then the impact that he's had, and you could see it developing over the course of the season, it was difficult to begin with. They lost a lot of players last summer and a lot of experience as well. If you think of the likes of Tobin Heath and Kristen Press went and all that experience that they took away with them. And then you've got a lot of younger players like Ellard and Alessia Russo, both nominated here. They've had to step up and mature very quickly into sort of senior roles, even though they're only 22, 23. And then it's a testament to their ability, to their mentality, that actually United are right in there till the final day anyway, and even ahead against Chelsea twice. You know, they could have had a real spanner in the title race.
Yeah, I mean, both such young players, as you mentioned, Russo and Toon, just brilliant, have really shone this season. What have you made of their campaigns, Georgia?
I think Toon has just been an absolute game changer for United and for England themselves. You know, she got her senior debut so quickly and then just shown why Serena Weigmann had called her up so quickly. Russo has just been, you know, the ultimate goal scorer. I just think in the absence of Casey Stoney, because I feel like a lot of United fans thought after she left it was kind of downhill, but they proved, it's not the end of the world. We've still got so many amazing class players, and they fought for Champions League football right until the very end, and they only just narrowly missed out. And it just goes to show that next season they're going to be right up there again and again, and players like Toon and like Russo and like so many others are going to carry them up. And it just makes for even more exciting WSL football, which is why you need to watch it, because it is just so, so good. It's so thrilling from the top to the bottom to the top three. It's just, just watch it. It is incredible from start to finish, honestly.
And you mentioned the top, obviously a great title race, but down at the bottom, Birmingham relegated, and you've seen the strength of the Championship, obviously Liverpool getting promoted. Do you think Birmingham will bounce straight back up?
I'd hope so. I mean, I'd like to pass it to Kaz, obviously, who's played for
Yeah.
for Birmingham. I mean, it is the end of an era. Birmingham founder members of the WSL. I feel like it was a collective groan for people in the WSL who thought, "Oh, not Birmingham, not Birmingham." Like it was just sad. And at the end of the day, so many amazing players, Karen included, who have come from Birmingham, and I personally feel they will come back up. They've got what it takes, but it's kind of, you look at it and just went, what went wrong, right? Where did the ship sink? I think it was just sad for women's football as a whole.
Yeah, look, I think it goes wrong when you don't have a structure or an infrastructure behind you. Every football club needs a business model and a successful one, and one to give people the right opportunity to be the best they can be. And that doesn't mean money. That just means good resources, and I think we've seen that with Birmingham, and I think their best signing was Darren Carter. Birmingham have always had good young managers from the local area. We've produced them. Mark Skinner came from there. Laura Harvey, who's in America at Seattle at the moment. We've always produced young, local, talented coaches that get the best out of the resources that Birmingham has, and I think that they have to require Darren again there to come back up. I am worried if he's not the manager. But like we said, it's difficult. Liverpool didn't bounce straight back up in their season. Leicester did, and then they had to come up this season. But it's a difficult one, the Championships. That's a great league in itself. So it's no foregone conclusion just because you go down, you're going to go straight back up. And you need a lot of support. And that's why I urge the club to get behind them and to support them and give them the best opportunity. But it's not going to be easy.
And how hard do you think that challenge will be? Because across the board, the level, the professionalism has been on a really steady increase. The Championship now, there's full-time teams. Do you think it is going to be a really difficult ask for them to go straight back into the WSL?
That's it as well, and it's a different league. It's a different. We've seen with the other forum chats today speaking about it's so difficult. There's different styles. There's different. That's what I said. Liverpool went down and didn't come straight back up. And MacDevitt had to dig deep and have to go, right, how am I going to get up here? And I'm sure Darren will be picking his mind and going, how did they do it? But it's not easy. But for me, it's all about getting your team behind the team right. If you do that, it's like in anything in life, you can't do it on your own. You need a bigger infrastructure and the right support. And the club have failed in that aspect and they need to improve on that. But it's equally bad on the other side of the table with the men. So got to figure that out as well.
Well, let's shine a spotlight on some of the stars of the future now then. We've obviously already spoken about some of the youngsters on our list here, our fantastic six. A player like Lauren Hemp deserves a mention as well. There's so much exciting young talent in the WSL. Ellen, anyone that stood out in particular for you?
I mean, you've just mentioned her there, Lauren Hemp. Absolute star. She's just been incredible. And I think, obviously Alex has been incredible this season. I think a lot of the praise given to Alex at the minute is because of her leadership and how she turned things around for City. But Lauren Hemp, what a player. She is unbelievable. She is so quick. She's got the pace. She's great with the deliveries. She just reads the pitch so well. And one of the things that I love about her is people target her and players target her at the minute because they know how good she is and they know if they can shut her down, you shut down a lot of the attack. But every time there's a heavy tackle on her, she's straight back up. She is straight back up. She's got the ball. She's attacking again, and she is just such a star. And it's weird that she's had a great season. She had a great season last season. It's really weird that she's still, eligible to go for like young players and breakthrough players because she has had such an incredible season.
Yeah, no, she is amazing. She's so exciting to watch as well, isn't she? I mean, girls, in your words, which players have really stood out for you amongst the youngsters in the WSL?
For me, one of the young players to watch is Maya Letizia for Brighton. I think she's got a huge future. She's played every minute of the WSL season this year. Still only 19, 20, I think, which is quite ridiculous. And I think she's got a really strong head on her shoulders. She knows what she has to do, I think, and under the guidance of Hope Powell, she's had a good education so far. But I think she's got big things coming for her.
I don't want to repeat the Lauren Hemp chat, but definitely think she should be up there, because not only was she there for when City were in the difficult times, she was one of their most consistent players and probably the reason that they kept in touching distance with the Champions League spots. But she also, got her goals for England. And I think that kind of opened her up a little bit. She struggled a bit at first to get goals for City. I think once she got those for England, it kind of, the floodgates opened a little bit and we started to see her on the score sheet for City. I was quite impressed with Jess Naz as well at Spurs. I thought she was given a lot of freedom because, Spurs, I think, struggled a little bit in terms of squad depth. They've really impressed me, though, despite that, finishing 5th. For me, they were one of the teams of the season. I think they overachieved, and she scored some great goals and gotten a lot of confidence, I think, as well, getting those minutes with Spurs. And I think that happens a lot with some of the players, is sometimes you're forced into that. We saw Alex Greenwood massively having to carry the City squad a little bit, and that's hugely shifted her game. I think it's been one of her best seasons. So for me, Jess Naz is another one to think about.
Well, I'm actually going to keep the hemp hype train going. I just made that up, but I love it.
Hashtag hemp.
Yeah, absolutely love
I
it all.
like it, I like it.
Thanks, yeah. Kaz, I mean, she is so young. She is so talented. How far can she go?
Lauren,
Yes.
she's the reason why I retired. Yeah, no, hands down. We went to the She Believes Cup, and she came away and trained with us, and we did a blowout session at the end, and we're doing in the square, and she's got a touch, and and I was like, I have to retire. When these are coming through, I'm thinking, I need to go. And I went, literally after that tournament, I went back 10 minutes, I'm going to retire at the end of the season, because I was like, she's a joke. She's phenomenal. And I was like, that's the levels, and I was like, it's time to go now, Karen.
Lauren know that?
She does
yeah, Lauren, I think I've said it before.
Don't tell her. Don't tell her.
But she's I adore her, and she loves custard creams as well. So if she wins the Euros, we bonded on camp over it once, and first met her. I says, "Come on, tell me something I really want to know. What biscuit do you dunk?" That was the one, and she said custard cream. So if she wins the Euros, I'm getting a massive pack of custard cream.
I love
Not before
that.
though, not
That's
before.
great.
They've got to eat healthy.
That is 2 pretty special exclusives right there from Kaz. I mean, custard creams is the winner, and you retired because of hemp.
no,
Wow.
she's so
That's the
good.
ultimate compliment, surely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She's so good though. I think we've all said about it. The dribble, the pace, the speed. You'd pay to watch her. She's that good. She gets the crowd going. I think what she's really improved the last month is scoring, being clinical. You probably have she'll probably text me and tell me off now, but she'd have an opportunity and it would be like a conversion rate wasn't as good as where it needs to be, and I completely agree. When going into games and tournaments, people know her and they're going to tag team up against her now, so she's got to know that if 2 people are around there, move it, and if one then go again, she's got to add that. But she's young, but for me, I want to push her on because she's got 20 odd caps for England. She's been in WSL a while now, so I'm like, go on, you can be a Ballon d'Or winner. Don't settle, keep going for it. And I think she's absolute mustard.
At the end of the season, we really saw that, with the team, that confidence they built up. From the start of the year, they came out of the blocks. And that confidence built up, and that hesitancy that we'd seen earlier, when she's looking for Ellen White, she's looking for Bunny Shaw, she's trying to find them. She was like, no, we're going for goal. And that is one of the things. As soon as she's got the ball at her feet from about 30 yards out, you're looking, I'm like, she's going to do it, she's going to do it, she's going to do it. And most of the time she does. And it is so, so good to see.
Do you guys think she's going to be the Ballon d'Or winner at some point?
Oh, absolutely.
It's not a surprise, though. We were both at her debut for Bristol back in 2016. And she came on, it was in the WSL 2, she came on against Watford at the age of 16. Within 2 minutes, it just blitzed past every single defender and scored a goal. And I think we turned to each other on the side of the pitch and we were like, this kid is...
Something
She's going to be good.
Yeah.
I wonder if she takes the wizard, are you passing over the wizard mantle, because you were known as the wizard.
She's way better. She's got pure magic. I don't know what it is.
Way
but
better than the Wizard.
I don't believe
she's just. I think the thing that she's just got to score big moments when you're in a Champions League, when you're in a Euros, when you're in a World Cup. To get a Ballon d'Or, you've got to be clinical, and she's got to keep adding that to her game. She's got to be ruthless. She's a lovely girl. She's got to add that bit of ruthlessness on the pitch, and I think she will.
Well, Judging by this chat, whoever did the shortlist is going to be in a bit of
I
trouble.
know, yeah. It's not even. I feel bad. We've just been.
Guys, you look at this list and you've got Alex Greenwood, an experienced player, and then you've got Beth Mead, who's also experienced, but you've got young, exciting players who we've just made, young, exciting English players. When you're going into a major tournament like the Euros, how big is the job of mixing the youth with the experienced internationals? Is that something that's going to need to be managed, or do you think it's an easy task this summer?
No, it's got to be done because I've been at the 2005 Euros. I was a young player, and in the 2019 I was an old player. When I was at 2005, I looked to like Rachel Yankee, I looked to my senior players because there's questions I couldn't answer. You know, you want the young players because they're raw, they're fearless, but there's still things you need to figure out. You can't buy experience. That's what you turn to in those moments, and they help you back. And then you need to help the young. When I was at this end, then I knew where the young players were because I felt that. You have to manage it, and I think we're going into a home Euros. There's only maybe a few people have experienced that, the pressure, the demands, what it's going to be like. You have to turn to experienced players in those moments. And then to get the rawness, you need to turn to the youth to go, they're totally fearless, just give them the ball and go. If you had too many young players, you wouldn't get through. And if you had too many senior players, you wouldn't either. So it's so important to get the mix right. And we've got a great squad, but I hope people like Steph Houghton are fit because you need that. I think you need players that can keep the group happy. And at tournaments, it's not about the 11, it's about the ones that are not playing. And that's why you need your experienced players to get around the ones that aren't playing. That when there's 20 minutes to go, you can turn to your bench, like a Chelsea can do at times, and go, I know you haven't played, I know I haven't picked you, but can you go on and win the game for me? And you've got to keep them, so that's why the experienced players are there.
Well, it's a great shortlist, and a shortlist that have had so many great moments this WSL season, and this chat's got me excited for a home Euros. A big thank you to all of you for coming and talking today. And you can vote for your PFA Vertu Motors Fans Player of the Year at 90mins.com.